Truth Seeker. Just want to bring this to you guys' attention. This is what's happening. This was 3 hours ago. From Court TV. I'm gonna go ahead and read this. I'm just putting this here so I can do this. So, full disclaimer, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for the purpose such as criticism, commenting, news, reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by the copyright status. A non-profit and infringing. Okay. So this is what's happening. Okay. I'm just trying to cover my butt. Alright, so let me hit play.
Victims' families, sort of, I guess, attempting to reach out to them. But what has happened now is the shooter's mother
Can you guys believe
wrote
this?
an open letter to the victims' families, sort of, I guess, attempting to reach out to them in light of what has happened here. That letter, I want you to take a listen to it. One of our producers is going to read it. But this was the response of the shooter's mother. We know what's going on here with that whole family as we're trying to understand how this 14-year-old ended up where he did. But here's what his mom had to say to the families.
To the parents and families of those affected by the tragic events at Apalachee High School, I want to say that I am so sorry from the bottom of my heart. If I could take the place of Mason and Christian, I would without a second thought. As a parent, I've always said that the loss of one of my children would be the only thing that I wouldn't be able to come back from. I feel all of your pain and devastation. I grieve and cry with you. My heart breaks for the two teachers who gave their lives while in the service of teaching and protecting our children. We are all in a living nightmare right now, and I will personally never forgive myself for what has happened. My son Colt is not a monster. He is my oldest baby. He is quiet, thoughtful, caring, funny, and extremely intelligent. Please pray for him and the rest of our family, as I am praying for all of you every moment of every day. Love is the only thing that will get us through this tragedy.
Wow.
Now, it's not clear how that's being received by the family, but it is what it is. This is what's happening in the case. Now, I want to remind you about the shooter's family and where everyone stands tonight in this case. You've got the 14-year-old, the accused shooter. He's been charged. He was living with his father at the time. His father allegedly purchased the weapon. He was visited by law enforcement before he purchased that weapon about an alleged threat. He's been charged with murder. And there's mom on the right. She was not necessarily the custodial parent, the physical custodial parent at the time. She has not been charged, but there were communications back and forth with the school that morning, apparently, in all of this. Now, this is not the first time we've seen a family member charged. The first time was in the other trials that we covered here on Court TV out of Oxford, Michigan. The Crumbly cases. And in that case, the shooter convicted, the father charged and convicted, the mother charged and convicted. So I want to get some perspective on this, and I want all perspectives on this issue, because this is a new place where we are, where the parents of school shooters are being criminally prosecuted for the deaths of the victims. So let me bring in our special guest, nationally known criminal defense attorney, specializing in difficult and prejudicial accusations. She represented the Oxford school shooter's mother, Jennifer Crumbly. Shannon Smith is with us. Shannon, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know This is an issue you're passionate about, and we saw your passion inside the courtroom during the course of the trial that we covered here on Court TV. I wanted to begin by getting your reaction to what's happening now in Georgia with the shooter, the accused shooter's father being charged with murder in this case.
Well, first of all, obviously there could be nothing worse than what's happened in Georgia in terms of another school shooting and leaving 4 dead and so many others injured. The problem is charging the parent is not going to make a difference. And if it did make a difference, we wouldn't be here right now if any lesson was taken from what happened up in Michigan. And so while this is a horrible situation and everyone wants to find answers, all that's really happened is prosecutors have put a Band-Aid out again, just like I said in the Crumbly case, to make everyone feel better, make everyone feel like something's going to happen when it has no true effect to heal and to truly fix what needs to be fixed.
So what are your thoughts about the role of a parent in a case like this, right? This is a case where police visited the father and the son about a year and 3 or 4 months prior to the shooting, gave them notice that they believed that he was responsible for a threat that was done, not only a threat to a mass shooting, but also to take his own life. So they had that visit. A few months later, he allegedly purchases that same son his own rifle. Now, I understand they're hunters. We get that. But purchased that gun for the child, who then subsequently brings it to school, according to prosecutors, and uses it. What is the role and the responsibility of the parent in those circumstances?
So the biggest problem with looking at what the parents did or did not do is it is an absolute lose-lose situation. If the parents knew there was something wrong or something they had to keep track of with their child and failed to do it, they're in trouble in one way. If the parents didn't realize it and it was not on their radar, they're in trouble in a completely different way. The truth is that the parents are just screwed. No matter what you do, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. There's another case up here in Michigan where a mom was texting her son, warning him to slow down on the highway, and that's being used against her now and possibly prosecuting her for an accident he caused. So as parents, we have to sit back and wonder, what can we do? If we do something, are we creating liability for ourselves? If we don't do something, are we creating liability for ourselves? And the truth is, there is no answer, and it's because the right answer is not going after the parents. That's not solving the problem.
Your perspective is very unique in all this. You were in the middle of it in Michigan. So what, and I know you've thought a lot about this, what is a solution? What is the path that society should be going down right now?
It's crazy.
You know, I have 4 kids and I wish I had the answer. It's something that's kept me up many nights of my youngest not sleeping and sleeping in my bed with my husband and I. I've thought about it over and over. I don't know what the right answer is. But I will say this, when I saw the amount of money that was put into the investigation and the efforts to convict the Crumblies, for example, a lot of that money could have been much better used putting protection in place to make those schools like Fort Knox to walk in the door. And those shootings could have been completely prevented if a gun had not gone through that door. And so changing gun laws, there's a lot of work to be done. Changing all kinds of rules, lots to be done. Being more aware of mental health, lots more we can do. But at the very least, in my opinion, we at least have to get these schools secured so when our kids are going to school, they can worry about math homework and not being shot.
Shannon, what's the message to the victims' parents and the rest of their family and the friends who understand, based upon these allegations, that there was notice, like this child was on the radar. Law enforcement actually visited the home, yet the father still decided in his discretion to purchase to get a gun for his 14-year-old son just after this visit from law enforcement. Is there, what do you tell the parents? What do you say? Well, there's nothing we can do. The parents aren't responsible.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a very popular response, but what I think is important is that the parents understand that it may feel better to charge the parents and feel like they're getting their pound of flesh by doing so, but it's not going to fix the larger problem. And what would be more helpful is really doing the investigations into why these things happen. And that's something that in Michigan, the prosecutors made it so that an investigation could never take place. And an investigation into this is what would really teach us what is causing this, what is the root of the problem we need to fix. So if anything, I would obviously pray for these parents and pray for these families, but I would also encourage them to keep their eye on what's going to move society forward and keep these tragedies from happening. And what's going to move things forward is a good investigation, figuring out the root of the problem. They are never going to get their loved ones back. There's no doubt about it, but it's time to stop putting Band-Aids on things.
Okay, final question, and this is, I've asked you questions, but if there's anything else on this issue that you think people should know, what is it?
You know, lately my friends have been asking me for advice, and as a mom of 4, I mean, this advice might sound silly, but you almost don't have children. Don't have children. You want to be safe? Don't have children. Because we've turned this into a slippery slope that's going in so many different directions in all kinds of cases. And that, I mean,
What do you guys think about that?
I'm laughing as I say it, but I'm really not. Don't have children.
Shannon Smith, appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that your opinion, people will react a certain way to your opinion, but I want to hear all sides of all issues that we discuss here on this program. So I thank you for your time and your input. All right, folks, when we come back, you saw them already. We gave you a sneak preview. The think tank is here, their reaction to all of this, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates the OnlyFans murder, Courtney Clenny, an internet star known for wearing very few pieces of clothing, is accused of stabbing her boyfriend and killing him. Was this self-defense? We investigate.
She was controlling.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan. In every story, in every trial, every case, there's at least 2